Good morning. It's that time of day again. Time for another PulseWave report with yours truly, Dex the Outgo Capitalist, aka the Vulcan, coming to you live from PulseWaveTrading.com, home of the world famous PulseWave price trigger reports. Hopefully, everyone had a nice 3-day weekend. Hopefully, you had a good Valentine's Day and George Washington / President's Day, birthday, whatever you want to call it. It's now Tuesday, but it does feel more like a Monday. That's just because we skipped Monday. Markets are now open here in the United States, and it's time to take a look at what's going on. The big story of the day, and there are a couple of them, but the biggest, I would say, is the 4 million Texans that are without power because of a grid collapse due to very chilling temperatures. It's like 1 degrees outside. So for all you Texans out there listening to the PulseWave report, I know you guys are nice and warm. You got the fireplace going, or you got the wood burning stove, or you got mad blankets. Whatever you do to keep warm, just continue to do that. Our thoughts and prayers will be with you. But then again, this is just another situation where it's pointing to the fragility of the U.S. infrastructure. The electric, the power grid is old as dirt. Okay. I think they had Abraham Lincoln help them build that or something crazy like that. Then again, maybe it goes back further than that. I think Amun Ra helped them build that back in the day. I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know why they would let the infrastructure like that just collapse to the point where it's such a strain on the system like that. Um, there's really no excuse. I'm sorry. And this goes to the government in general, Democrat and Republican, because those are the individuals. This happened on their watch. Haven't had an independent presidency in my lifetime, so this goes back to you, Democrats and Republicans. Why are you allowing for your infrastructure to collapse? Why you spend billions and trillions on pork products and black budgets? Yeah, that's right. Get your house in order. Get it together. The next story we're going to talk about is Bitcoin. The Bitcoin Futures Composite Index hit $51,065. Wow. That's Bitcoin for you. I tell you, man, it just keeps on going, keeps on soaring. So if you are a Pulse Waver, you subscribe to the Pulse Wave reports, you better be popping your way through this, man. Don't give back no 50 G's in profit, man. Come on, what's up? Now, of course, all the individuals who don't trade and don't know diddly squat about markets are calling for 100,000 Bitcoin. You haven't even hit 55,000 yet, and you're calling for 100,000 Bitcoin. All the prognostication sounds fun, and it sounds really cool. All right, but all it's doing is fueling more people to try to find the next get-rich-quick scheme, and there's no such a thing. There's no such a thing as a get-rich-quick scheme. All right, that is not a sound investment or trading strategy. Just ask those individuals who bought GameStop at $500, and today you're setting at 50. All right. It's really crazy how people keep pumping stuff. Oh, silver is going to $900 an ounce. Yeah. And this morning, silver's down 13 cents. You want to keep talking? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It hit an overnight high of $28.07. And here we are now sitting at $27.21. Talk about some volatility. Silver can chop your head off if you don't know how to play it right. It can chop your head off. It can also make you a ridiculous amount of money in a short amount of time, but you got to know how to do it. You got to know how to play it. You got to know how to trade it. If you don't, you will get torched. All right. So for all you wannabes out there, understand that these markets are not toys. It's not a casino, even though people approach it like that. But rest assured, everyone who approaches the market like a casino gets taken to the woodshed. You get your head chopped completely off. Okay? Completely. In other news, they're talking about a special strain of the COVID hitting the United States. I believe they're calling it the UK version. Meanwhile, while this so-called UK version is supposedly tearing up the states, we have all this weirdness going on in the world. People don't know which way to turn. They don't know which end is up. And that's because of the response to the COVID. Now, a certain amount of time has elapsed so that we can do a little historical review on this COVID. All right, so here's something to think about. And I'm not a virologist, okay? So before you start coming for me, I'm not a virologist, all right? I'm not an epidemiologist, all right? Never went to medical school. I can only take the word of those who are virologists and epidemiologists and have went to medical school. The consensus is this, that herd immunity is not ever going to happen because of the ridiculous response to the COVID in the first place. You never quarantine the healthy. You always quarantine the sick. That is a known fact that is taught in the medical community. So to go against that, you have to ask yourself a question. Why would you do that? Why would you panic and go off of the script, go off the plantation, so to speak? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? That's like, it's first and goal. You got 1 second left on the clock, and you're right there at first and goal, and you're going to go for the touchdown. The coach, your offensive coordinators, everyone involved, your quarterback, everyone agrees on the play. Everyone has rehearsed this play a million times. You know what the play is going to be, and then right at the snap, the quarterback changes the play, and they don't make the touchdown. Whose fault is it? It's the guy who changed the game plan at the last second on the goal line. The quarterback's fault. You went in, you knew what the game plan was for that situation. You had practiced for that forever. You finally get to that scenario where you get to implement what you practice, and then you change the rules at the last second. Something that is untested, never done before in a game, but yet you chose to go with it anyway. That's what happened with the COVID response. They said, let's just quarantine the world. Let's shut down everybody. Forget about what we know to be sound medical response based on what we know about history and what we know about medicine. Let's just forget like we don't know anything about medicine, and let's just lock the world down and shut down the global economy. That should do it. Now you have the world walking around with compromised immune systems. So, of course, the slightest little illness can spread like wildfire. And then they can say, see, we told you COVID is dangerous. No, what you did was what we call in trading self-fulfilling prophecies. All right. You set it up so that what you said initially would come to pass, even though that's not what really happened. So if you keep everyone locked in the house, no herd immunity. You keep everyone locked in the house. That means people are not out and about. You're not going about your natural life, your natural daily routine, where you come into contact with viruses and things of that nature every day when you're outside among other people. Your immune system's building up defenses against all those known situations. And now you don't have to worry about it. You can have herd immunity really, really fast. But no, they didn't want that. And then you combine that with the speech that Mr. Gates gave, saying that they can really do something about overpopulation with their immunizations and vaccinations. The only way you can achieve that, see, they didn't tell you how that's achieved. He just gave you the math on it being achieved. But if you look under the hood of this lemon, you will notice that the only way to achieve Reducing overpopulation with immunizations and vaccinations is one of two ways. Either you're sterilizing people without their knowledge, so the birth rates are going to plummet, and or you already know that a certain segment of the population is going to drop dead from it and get sick. So you're killing two birds with one stone. That is what these immunizations and vaccinations do. That is why the government hurried up and not only gave them immunity from prosecution, but they made it retroactive. You don't need to play that kind of defense unless you know that something is coming as a result of your actions. So this is a way to insulate yourself from it. Because now you're forcing the victims to prove a negative, which everyone knows you can't prove a negative. Therefore, they get to do whatever they want with their agenda and force it to come to pass, and you can't check them on it because they're immune from prosecution. So you've given them carte blanche to push their agenda forward, unchecked, unchallenged. This is a scary time in human history where the governments of the world are acting as dictators. Whatever they say and do goes unchallenged. And then they use the mainstream media to push the agenda more and silence opposition. They control all the means and all the mechanisms. So there's nothing you can do. You can't even speak out because you will be marginalized and silenced and made to look crazy. And then they give you these fake reviews. They bring about paid for doctors or lawyers, scientists, whatever the agenda calls for, and they'll have them talk, and they will, of course, toe the line. They will say whatever the approved narrative is. They will come and say, yeah, we stand behind that approved narrative. You never get to hear the dissenting voices. And if you do, they'll bring someone on who either doesn't know what they're talking about, or when they do speak, they have a problem, speaking in groups so they don't sound as eloquent or articulate, and they get yelled and screamed and talked over and not being allowed to speak on top of that. So they already have the mechanism in place. So even if the idiot comes on and gets smart all of a sudden, he or she will not be afforded the chance to speak anyway. They'll just talk over them and keep interrupting them. That's how they do it. It's set up to fail. That way, no dissension is allowed. You won't get to hear anyone say the opposite of what, or challenge them on their beliefs or theories. There is no peer review. All those that speak out will be silenced. That's how they do it. That's how they roll. That is not a free society. We've gone from a free society to a controlled society. It's not enough for them to meddle in and use interventionalism in the markets. Now you have a controlled and sterilized human population as well, where they control speech. They control ideas. When they want your idea, they'll give it to you. That's the approach they have taken. And as a result, people have become blinded by it. Now, I know that I get a lot of questions about a lot of different things. People like to know my opinion on different things. And the big looming question right now, are we going to see a correction in the stock market? What is gold and silver going to do? What's Bitcoin going to do? What about the altcoins? I've answered all of those questions in my documentary, There Is No Collapse, and the follow-up documentary to that called The Fed versus Bitcoin and the Central Banks versus the Blockchain. If you watch those two documentaries, any question you have for me will be answered in those documentaries that were done, mind you, in 2016, before any of these things came to pass. I broke it down for you and told you what to expect. See, that's why the pulse waves are important. Because if you want to know what is the next move for these markets, what is the market about to do, that's what the pulse waves are designed to tell you. They're designed to tell you when the market is about to move and what direction it's likely to move in. All right, that's what the pulse waves are for. And that's why they go out every day when the market's open. All right, they go out every night, Sunday through Thursday night. Pulse waves go out. So you can be ready and prepared for what's coming. No one knows what's coming from moment to moment, minute to minute, day to day. Nobody knows the future except for God. That is one of his attributes, which is omniscience, which means all-knowing. That means he has perfect knowledge of everything in the past, everything in the present, and everything in the future. Perfect knowledge of those things. Also, perfect knowledge of any what-if scenario, woulda, coulda, shoulda. That's what omniscient means, all-knowing. Human beings do not share those godly attributes. We are not all-knowing. So the best we can do is to use historical patterns to predict future ones. All right, that's how our ancestors knew how to deal with their crops and when to plant, when to harvest, and all that other good stuff. All right, you can look at patterns, you can look at history, and see what works, what doesn't work, and then you share ideas through trade and things of that nature, and that's what we do. All right, we take a look at what's going on now, and then we see how the markets have responded to what's going on now and what they've done in the past and future type scenarios. And if it's something new and new waters, then again, we still stick to what we know. We have thousands of algorithms running full speed, all right, so that we know what's going on at any given time, any given moment. That's what the reports do. It's my life's work. It's my magnum opus. You want to trade markets? You want to know what's going on? You want complete market analysis? That's what you want. There are millions of people on social media clamoring, talking about markets, but they only come out during bull markets. When it's a bear market, you can't find them. They go invisible. When Bitcoin was at 3,000, you didn't hear not one of them speak out. No one was bullish when Bitcoin was at 3,000. Even the mainstream media was laughing at everyone who was touting Bitcoin when it was at 3,000, when it dropped from 20,000 to 3,000. Now that it's at 51,000, the government's now, going to make their own digital Bitcoin dollar, while we're working on a blockchain. And oh, really? And then next thing you know, here's a futures contract now based on Bitcoin. Not a futures contract based on Litecoin. Not a futures contract based on Ethereum. Not a futures contract based on any other altcoin. Only Bitcoin. That should tell you something. As far as the precious metals, I told you what they were doing with that. And they're doing exactly what I told you. Right now, gold is down $31. It is plummeting. Why is it plummeting? Now, I know you're going to try to make up a story. Well, JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs are shorting it again and blah, blah, blah. No, that is not why the price is falling. That is the story that people like to associate with market activity. Every day they want to come up with a story to explain why something's happening. That's not why anything happens. Do you want to know the real reason why any market moves up or down? I'll tell you. You see, gold is in a bear market. You've been hearing me say that. On the algo charts, gold is in a bear market. On the daily algo charts, bear market. When prices are in a bear market, they are falling. Even when there is a bounce, technical bounce, all it does is set up the next leg down. And that's exactly what we saw in the gold. Silver, on the other hand, on the daily algo charts, is in a bull market. Therefore, every time the price pulls back, it's going to be bid or brought right back up. Why is the market going up or down? Because there are more buyers than sellers. Why is the market going down? Because there are more sellers than buyers. It's just that simple. Then everyone wants a story. Let's come up with a story. Why did GameStop go from 20 to 500? Because there were more buyers than sellers. Why were they buying? Because they believed the price would continue to go up. Did the price continue to go up? Yep. Why were people selling it when it hit 500? Because they believed that the price was going to start going back down again. Did the price go back down? Yep. You want to know why? That's the real reason. It's boring. If the market's falling, it's because there's more sellers than buyers. Why are people selling? You don't know. So that's the thing I like about the futures market. The futures markets are not like the equities markets because for every buyer, there's a seller. Every buy and sell order is matched. All right. For every buyer, there's a seller. For every seller, there's a buyer. You don't know why someone is selling, and you don't know why someone is buying. They could be buying to unwind a short position. They could be selling to unwind a long position. You don't know. They could be hedging. You don't know. You don't know people's motives. You don't know their needs. You don't know their business models. You don't even know who's on the other side of the trade. General Mills may be buying up oats, even though it's in the bear market and the prices are plummeting. You be like, why would they do that? You don't understand their agenda. You don't work for them. You're not in that room, in that department. So you can't say what they're doing is good or bad. Yeah, but they're losing a fortune. You don't know what they're doing. You can't say that they're stupid for buying oats when oat prices are plummeting. Likewise, you can't say that they're stupid if they were selling if oat prices are plummeting. You don't know the business model. You don't know the plan. You don't know what they're thinking. You have no idea. That's why it was ludicrous for all the talking heads on the business channels to say that people who are buying GameStop were idiots, that they were losers living at home with their parents, sitting in their parents' basement or in the attic buying stocks, gambling, not knowing what they're doing, not knowing what's going on. You don't know who those people are. Well, only a certain part of the demographic uses Robinhood app. You don't know that. Unless when you download that app and set up your account, unless it asks you, and these are what I call hard questions, not soft questions, meaning that it's an asterisk by it. If you don't answer this question, then you can't move on to the next page. So unless they are getting all types of demographic information on you, like, okay, what's your age, what's your nationality, what's your income, and all that other stuff, you don't know who is doing what and why. And even if you did know who was doing what, let's say they could break it down because on their app, it was on the questionnaire when you opened your account that they knew your nationality, they knew your height and weight and all this other stuff, right? And let's say they came out and they said, well, we know for a fact that only Native Americans are the ones buying the GameStop. That's how it went up so high, because all the Native Americans got together and bought it. Even if that was true, which it is not, but even if it was, you still don't know the motivations behind the movements. You don't know why someone valued GameStop. Well, it was a company facing bankruptcy, but that doesn't mean that doesn't mean anything. So what? So what? What does that mean? The scientific community has already proven that smoking cigarettes causes cancer, yet the price of cigarettes keeps going up and people keep buying them. So what's your point? Yeah, but the stock is bankrupt. The company's bankrupt. So once again, you don't know the motivations and the strategies of people. You don't know what they're doing and why they're doing it. So you can't say that, because even if you knew the demographic that was doing the activity in a particular market, once again, you don't know the motivations. Someone could be hedging. Someone could be speculating. Someone could be unwinding a position. Someone could be building a position. You don't know what they're doing. And let me tell you something. You can't tell someone that their strategy for investing is wrong, because if it works for them and it makes them money, you don't need to understand it. And it's none of your business. All right. If this person is a perma bear and all they do is sell, 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 and let's say their rate of return over the last 50 years was 20% annually. In every bull market, they made 20% return shorting the market. You be like, how in the world can they do that? Don't worry about it. Well, that's stupid. How is it stupid? He's making money, and they've done it for the last 50 years. Who are you to tell someone that their investment strategy is wrong if it's making them money? Who are you to judge what people are doing with their money? As long as they're not doing illegal activity, and it's making them money and everything they're doing is legal and on the up and up, it's none of your business. And you do not have a right to drag people and up to Capitol Hill and have them testify as to why they were buying or selling. That is none of your business and none of the government's business. We need to know what happened. The stock didn't go to zero. The stock went to 500. I thought you designed these markets with an upward bias anyway. So when prices are rising, why do you care if you're making money? The only reason why you would care is because you were on the wrong side of the market and lost a lot of money. You and your buddies who got you in the office. That's why you're abusing your power and bringing regular people to testify as to why they bought something. Does that seem fishy to you? Does that seem right to you? Can you imagine being dragged out before Congress and having to testify why you chose the brand of detergent that you chose? Why did you buy that brand instead of the other brand? Why should you have to give an account for how you spend your money? You haven't broken the law. Everything that you're doing is legal. So why do you have to give an account for private matters? The government won't even give you an account on public matters, but yet they want you to give an account for private matters. They won't even disclose basic stuff to you that you have a right to know that is public knowledge or freedom of information under the Freedom of Information Act. They send you out redacted documents for something that you're supposed to have as your right to have it as a citizen. But yet they want to drag you, the citizen, to Capitol Hill to testify on why you bought shares of GameStop, which is what the market is designed to do, buy shares. People talk about investment strategies all the time, going all the way back to the days of the Yahoo message boards. And before the internet with the little investment groups, the little remember the little old ladies? All right, people have had investment groups and talked about investment strategies forever. That is not illegal. It is only illegal if you are doing insider trading. If your buddy is the CEO of Acme and he tells you that he's about to dump all his shares and you go and dump all your shares, both of you are going to jail. Or if he reveals something to you that is not public record, that's about to go down, like let's say they're about to cut their dividend and you take profit and dump all your shares, both of you are going to jail because that is illegal. Unless you work on Capitol Hill, if you're a member of Congress or you're a senator, well, then it's okay. No insider trading rules for you. See what I mean, guys? This is why we need to do the knowledge to this stuff. We need to peep the science behind the mind games. You know? Don't let them just disrespect you like this. You got to open your eyes, man. You got to do the knowledge to stuff. And stop being stupid. All right? They thinking you stupid. You're not stupid. You got sense. Even if you don't use it, you still got sense. So don't let them do that to you. Open your eyes. Learn how to think. Learn how to rationalize and ask questions. Don't be, intimidated and afraid to ask questions. Because that is what it's looking like. It's like they want people to be intimidated and afraid to ask questions. And that's really messed up. That's really messed up. I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. Not at all. So with that being said, folks, I just wanted to leave y'all with something to think about today. This is a short trading week. You only got 4 days instead of 5. I just wanted to give y'all something just to digest, to meditate on, to think about. This is sad. We're looking at the loss of liberties on a grand scale, something that we have not really seen all at once like this, but they're starting to come for everything at once, all at one time. Instead of being incremental, they're starting to get a little anxious. They want to move forward a lot quicker. And so you need to open your eyes to it. Like I said, this is the time that, we the people need to come together and demand that, we have some more transparency in what's happening. Like MicroStrategy selling $600 million in bonds so they can acquire Bitcoins. All right. When you start seeing people move like that, it should open your eyes to what's going on. Okay. I mean, this is the longest record in a bull market in 17 years because of all the continued monetary stimulus. So you have decades worth of money that has chased the markets. Now, it's not going to help employment. It's only going to help the market stay strong. Understand, I told you this years ago here on YouTube. I told you the sicker the economy gets, the higher the Dow is going to rise. That has not changed. That has not changed. And the reason that you're seeing this is because being self-employed, owning your own small business that does not require employees, well, that's an integral part of the American dream. The entrepreneur, the mom and pop, they do most of the employment in this country. Many people start out dreaming of a corner office in corporate America, but as they move up the ladder, many become disillusioned by the process and the goal. They say to themselves, do I really want to spend my life making big shots even wealthier? Because that's what you're doing when you're an employee. You're not working on your agenda. You're working on theirs. You're making them rich. That's why they employ you. They say, how can this individual that I hire today make me richer? When you're in your cubicle slaving away, you're making another company richer. So either you're making someone else rich or you spend time making yourself rich. Now, bureaucracies, governments and corporations, those are safe sources of employment, but at a cost. All right. Think of it as a soul deadening type of a deal. Many people dream about making a living doing something that they actually care about. And that often means striking out on your own, which is what we call self-employment. Now, this raises an interesting question on how many self-employed people in the US actually earn a middle-class income. Since all the government statistics have a line at $50,000 and $50,000 might support a minimal middle-class lifestyle in areas with a low cost of living, let's use the $50,000 in annual income as our minimum. As you might expect, government agencies count jobs and self-employment in different ways, which makes sorting out the numbers very difficult. Now, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, for example, counts two types of self-employed, the unincorporated and the incorporated. Now, the unincorporated may have employees, but typically do not. That's why they are considered sole proprietors. Now, the incorporated have employees, starting with the owner, as the Bureau of Labor Statistics counts the incorporated self-employed as employees of their own corporation. Now, the analysts at docs.com assembled a chart that counts only those sole proprietors, partnerships, and corporations with no employees, i.e. the self-employed. So they came up with a total number of self-employed that earned at least $1,000 annually of 22.5 million, of which 3 million were partnerships or corporations. Now, these are overwhelmingly professionals such as attorneys, accountants, physicians, consultants, entertainers, etc. If we subtract the partnerships and corporations, there are 19.4 million sole proprietors, or at least there were before the scam of a pandemic that we had. So if we subtract that, we end up with, now for context, there are about 141 million people in the United States with some sort of employment, according to the BLS, which is the Bureau of Labor Statistics. They call that total non-farm payroll, total non-farm employment. But this number includes tens of millions of part-time jobs and self-employed earning very little money. Now, according to the BLS, there are about 121 million full-time jobs and 27.3 million part-time jobs. All right, so they're breaking down the different types of employment and jobs that are available. Now, keep in mind, during the scamdemic, we lost 50 million plus jobs, okay? But how many of these jobs are marginal, or i.e., earn less than $10,000 a year? For that, we turn to the IRS data from the tax returns. The Social Security Administration also compiles income statistics. So if you prefer the statistics compiled by tax returns, as these numbers are verifiable and precise, supposedly, there is no seasonal adjustment of tax returns, There is an exact known number of tax returns with taxable income or net income after credits and deductions. The IRS cite individual statistic tables by size and adjusted gross income offers a wealth of information that can be downloaded into an Excel spreadsheet. So if you examine the table 1.1, you'll find that there were about 145 million returns filed and 93 million had taxable income after credits and deductions. Roughly 46 million people earned less than $20,000 a year. 22 million workers earned less than $10,000 a year, and 35 million earned less than $15,000 a year, and 46.5 million earned less than $20,000. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a dire employment picture. Dire. So while 19.4 million people, sole proprietors, that's a big number, right? It turns out most are side businesses that earn relatively little income. Out of 19.4 million sole proprietors, the majority of this 19.4 million are businesses that earn relatively little income. 5.5 million people earn less than $5,000 a year. 3.8 million people net between $5,000 and $10,000 a year. 5.7 million earn between $10,000 and $25,000, and another 3 million net between $25,000 and $50,000. Only 4.8 million self-employed people earn $50,000 or more. And 3 million of those are partnerships and corporations. In other words, professionals such as CPAs, attorneys, doctors, etc. That leaves about 1.5 million people who aren't in the professional class, those with advanced degrees and professional licenses and credentials who earn a middle-class living as sole proprietors. Now, according to the government, less than $50,000 a year is poverty. Now, this is roughly 1% of the workforce of the 145 million. It turns out the non-professional self-employed that make enough to maintain a minimally middle-class lifestyle are a razor-thin slice of the workforce. Note, only 20% or 4.48 million out of 22.5 million of self-employed people earn more than $50,000 a year. Of these 3 million are professional partnerships or corporations. That leaves a mere 1.5 million self-employed middle class income who are not incorporated or partnerships or professionals such as physicians and attorneys and CPAs. All right, so keep that in the back of your mind. Now, if you look at table 1.4, all returns adjusted gross income, exemptions, deductions, and tax items is a treasure trove of telling statistics. Now, information junkies will be in hog heaven as soon as they open the spreadsheet because these numbers cut through the fog of employment and income. As many of you know from previous entries on jobs, work, etc., this is startling and very eye-opening. Of self-employed taxpayers, they get to deduct about half of their health insurance premiums. You have to earn a fair sum to actually afford the sky-high cost of health insurance. So if you paid, let's say, $15,300 a year for a stripped-down health care plan, which is more than the annual earnings of the bottom 35 million workers in the nation, ouch. Ouch. You're paying more for health insurance than the bottom 35 million workers earn in a year. That is incredible. Only 3.9 million taxpayers took the self-employed health insurance deduction. That's a pretty good indicator of how many taxpayers are actually living solely on their income. That is, they don't have a spouse who has family health care coverage, being an employee of the government or a large corporation. Now, the number of taxpayers who took the deductible part of self-employment tax was 18.6 million. This includes everyone with a net income from a business, according to the IRS tax data. 7.39 million taxpayers reported self-employment of $50,000 or more. This is almost 3 million more people than counted in the infographic, which shows that it takes cross-checking various agency statistics to sort through all the data. This means roughly 5% of the workforce is self-employed and earns $50,000 or more a year. Just 5% of the 142 million workforce in the United States. The United States is made up of about 142 million people. And of the 142 million employed people, about 5% of the workforce is self-employed and earns $50,000 or more a year. Now, according to the Federal Reserve of St. Louis, the data shown in the decline of self-employment in small business, April the 22nd of 2013, there are about 5.5 million incorporated self-employed and 9.2 million unincorporated self-employed. If you assume most of the incorporated self-employed are professionals, this leaves roughly 1.9 million non-professional self-employed who earn more than $50,000 annually, or 7.39 million to 5.5 million. However you figure it, there are less than 2 million non-professionals making a middle-class living via self-employment. That is roughly 1.5% of the 121 million full-time workers in the nation. Yeah, jaw-dropping. You got to be astonished at these numbers. Only 3.9 million of us deduct our healthcare insurance, and only 7 million out of 145 million earn $50,000 or more. And on the left and right cost, $50,000 is not a middle class income. It is borderline poverty. So if you make $50,000 a year or less, you are in poverty. If we only counted the self-employed who earn enough to afford a minimally middle-class lifestyle in high-cost urban zones, such as greater New York City, Boston, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Bay Area, etc., the number declines to an even tinier slice of the workforce, no more than about 4 or 5 million people, depending on where you draw the line. Again, so out of 140 million plus people, only about 5 million of them technically are middle class. Everybody else is in poverty. It isn't easy to earn enough to afford a middle class lifestyle via self-employment, including the professional class. Perhaps 3% of the workforce is truly independent. Ladies and gentlemen, this should be making you say ouch right now. But here's the question though. If all of this is true, right? And these are the government statistics that you can go and Google yourself. If that's true, right? Then who's buying up all the PlayStation 5s and all the Xboxes and who's buying all the iPhones? Seriously. As soon as the new Xboxes and PlayStations went on sale, they were gone. So who's buying if the majority of the people are impoverished, who's buying up all the PlayStations? I'm serious. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Open your eyes, people. Something don't feel right. It don't feel right. It really don't. It does not feel right. And if it don't feel right, then it's probably not right. So there's something to think about. Just wanted to, put a little bug in your ear, share a little statistics with you. And then that way you can come to your own conclusions about what that means for you and your family. With that being said, you know what it is. Smash that like button, man. Go to PulseWaveTrading.com. If you are one of those individuals who are earning less than $50,000 a year, whether you be employed or self-employed, you definitely need to go to PulseWaveTrading.com and sign up to receive these pulse waves so that you can build a secondary income stream so you can provide for you and your family. PulseWaveTrading.com. And remember, bulls and bears make money, but pigs get slaughtered. So take what you can and give nothing back. In other words, do not turn winning trades into losing trades. You will never go broke taking profits. And I'm out. Peace.